Good morning, dear students. Today we shall start with the fifth part of the first chapter, that is development. In the previous part, we had studied about BMI, that is Body Mass Index. It is an international standard that is used to determine the nutritional value of an individual. If an individual's BMI is in the range of 18.5 to 25, that person is considered healthy. If the BMI is less than 18.5, the individual is considered undernourished, and if it is more than 25, he or she can be considered overweight. After that, we studied about Human Development Report. Every year, UNDP prepares it. And in order to prepare this report, they consider three criteria. Those criteria are per capita income, educational level, and the health status of an individual. An index known as Human Development Index is also prepared. There are 188 countries that participate, and ranking is done on the basis of human development in that particular country. So India's rank in Human Development Report is 131. So today's topic is sustainable development. To understand what sustainable development means, let us watch a video.
Hi guys! Do you have time for a few quick questions? I see you're having a lot of fun, but do you ever stop and think if what you do is sustainable? And do you know what sustainable development means? Sustainable development is to make the world a better place for everyone now without destroying the possibilities for the next generations. If you wonder if something is sustainable, you can ask yourself, can we do this over and over again forever? Sustainable development means that we need to keep three things in mind at once: social progress, economic development, and climate and environment. First of all, we have to take care of our planet. We have many natural ecosystems that must be in balance in order for us to live here. The climate system is one of them. This system ensures that the temperature is correct and that the atmosphere emits exactly the right amount of solar energy. When we emit harmful greenhouse gases, such as CO2, we clog the atmosphere. This changes the temperatures on Earth, which again affects our development. How we produce and use energy is incredibly important. Oil and coal are examples of energy we may run out of. Water, wind, and sun, however, will always be here. Using the lasting sources of energy that renew themselves is good for the planet and can provide jobs for years to come. Economics. Almost everything we develop, buy, and trade starts with nature. The smarter we use our natural resources and the better systems we create for a fair distribution, the more sustainable we are. One way to contribute to a more uneven distribution is to be more aware of what we buy and how it is produced. A football is a good example. It travels far before it reaches the football players. First, the materials are made. Then, they print the logo somewhere else before a third country sews it all together. One single football sees the whole world before it reaches its goal. This journey ties us together. If we are to win the battle for a sustainable future, we have to play with fair rules that applies to everyone. Social progress. We humans are part of nature, but we're also important resources for the world. Just like water, the forest, and the sun, we have minds that can create the strangest and most creative things. But for us to be the best versions of ourselves, there are certain things that must be in order, like having equal opportunities to education, safety, food, and medicine. This provides greater opportunities for us as human beings, but also for the planet. We just have to think in new ways. These three must work together. That is sustainable development. And there is actually a plan for this. All the countries of the United Nations have agreed on a joint plan for sustainable development. But for the plan to work, we need to cooperate, and we need you to be on board. Are you with us?
So, sustainable development is a balance between economic development, social progress, and climate and environment. So, in order to emphasize on sustainable development, there are two examples that are mentioned in your NCERT book. Let us discuss this. Example 1, groundwater in India. Recent evidence suggests that groundwater is under serious threat of overuse in many parts of the country. About 300 districts have reported a water level decline of over 4 meters during the past 20 years. Nearly 1/3 of the country is overusing their groundwater reserves. In another 25 years, 60% of the country would be doing the same if the present way of using this resource continues. Groundwater overuse is particularly found in the agriculturally prosperous regions of Punjab and Western UP, hard rock plateau areas of Central and South India, some coastal areas, and the rapidly growing urban settlements. So this example of groundwater is indicating towards renewable resources that is available with us. So groundwater is abundantly available in our country, but we need to learn to use it judiciously. Over here, there is a word that is overuse. Groundwater indeed is available for us to use, but it should not be overused. This term overuse means that we are using more than what is being replenished by rain. So we need to reduce our consumption so that groundwater is not only present currently but also in future. It is being overused mainly due to modern methods of cultivation. You already know that modern method of cultivation requires a lot of water, and because of this huge requirement of water, the farmers are using groundwater very much, and as a result the water level is decreasing. So this example poses two very important questions. The first one is why groundwater is overused. Groundwater is being overused because of two reasons. First, there is a growing population which have got a greater need of water that has to be fulfilled, and secondly, in order to produce more and more agricultural output for those growing population, we need to overexploit water resources. The second question is, can there be development without overuse? Yes, of course, there can be development without overuse. We can practice sustainable development. Instead of using groundwater for extensive irrigation, we can use sprinklers. There are various ways through which we can avoid this overuse. The second example is about non-renewable resources. Example 2, exhaustion of natural resources. Look at the following data for crude oil. Table 1.7, crude oil reserves. There are 3 columns, one for region, the other for reserves in billion tons, and the third one is number of years reserves will last. So Middle East has got 89 billion tons which will last for 93 years. United States of America has got 4 billion tons and it is going to last only for next 10 years. The world as a whole has got 137 billion tons which is going to last for next 43 years. So the table gives an estimate of reserves of crude oil. More important, it also tells us for how many years the stock of crude oil will last if people continue to extract it at the present rate. The reserves would last only 43 years more. This is for the world as a whole. However, different countries face different situations. Countries like India depend on importing oils from abroad because they do not have enough stocks of their own. If prices of oil increase, this becomes a burden for everyone. There are countries like USA which have low reserves and hence want to secure oil through military and economic power. So as we can see, there is a very less amount of crude oil, and crude oil is very important for the world as a whole because it is used to manufacture, it is used to make many things. Fertilizers, perfumes, soaps, vitamin capsules, plastic bags, aircrafts. There are many things that are manufactured once crude oil is extracted. And there are some countries which do not have enough crude oil, like India. So if there is a limitation in the amount of crude oil that is available in world, of course the prices are going to rise. And since it is going to become expensive, many countries like our own country, India, will not be able to afford it. We are just a developing country right now. And if crude oil becomes very expensive, it will become very difficult for us to be able to afford it. But there are other countries like USA, which is a developed country. They are using military and other economic powers to get hold of this crude oil. The question of sustainability of development raises many fundamentally new issues about the nature and process of development. So there are 2 questions that arise over here. The first one is crude oil essential for the development process in a country? Discuss. Yes, crude oil is essential for the development process in a country. It provides 97% of energy in automobile industry. It even helps in producing plastics, lubrication oils. All these things are being produced because of crude oil. So of course it is essential. The second question is, India has to import crude oil. What problems do you anticipate for the country looking at the above situation? Since in India there is a very less amount of crude oil that is present, the problem that we can see over here is the government has to spend more and more amount of money in order to get access to these crude oils. So it is going to create burden on the government. So in the end, we can say that sustainable development is a process of development which meets the need of the present generation without reducing the ability of future generation to meet their needs. So this is the pictorial representation of whatever has been said just now. Let us come to the assignment. The first question is, what is sustainable economic development? Write any 3 measures to control environmental degradation. You already know the meaning of sustainable economic development. It takes into consideration the standard of living not only of the present generation but also of the future generation. So the 3 measures to control environmental degradation could be there should not be any over exploitation of resources. There should be more and more use of renewable energy, and new technologies should be developed so that we can replace the use of non-renewable resources with the renewable resources. So the second question is, consequences of environmental degradation do not respect national or state boundaries. Justify the statement. Environmental degradation is a global issue. If there is a huge amount of air pollution in India, it is of course going to affect the neighboring countries such as Pakistan or Sri Lanka. So of course environmental degradation is a national, not only a national or state issue, it is a world level issue. So with this we have completed the chapter, and the video that I had used, this link is going to help you if you want to get access to that particular video. This is the name of the channel and this is the link. So that is it for today's class. Thank you.